I would like to just apologize if I keep looking to my right, your left. It's because I have my notes right next to me. So if I keep looking there, that's why. Don't worry, I'm very romantic. I like eye contact. So it's just I got my notes. Okay. Anyway, so as you guys may or may not know, I'm shooting a 3-part series of what it's like being a Christian, at least for me. In this 3-part series, I decided to share my testimony, which was the first video that I uploaded about the series, and then the second video, which is this video, it's going to be about my struggles, and the last video is going to be about the things that I've learned and the things that I'm currently learning so far. So one of the struggles that I had about one of the struggles that I have about being a Christian is getting closer to God. I mentioned in my previous video that I had backslidden after coming to Christ, after being like serious with Christ. I had backslidden, and it kind of did affect my relationship with God to the point where I felt like there was no point in coming back. But I'm at a point in my Christian journey where I've seen so much about God, not just with me but like with other people as well, that I'm at a point of no return. Like, I will not go back. God is my ride or die. So fast lahlan, okay? Like, till death was part, okay? Even after death, we will not part. But it is a struggle of mine now, getting close with God. My relationship with God is affected simply because I backslid, and it's kind of like I haven't been able to bounce back, or I haven't been able to bounce back to where I was before. Like I mentioned in my previous video, you know, the butterfly phase of when you enter into a relationship. Yeah, I'm unable to get back into that position, or into that, back to that place where I was before. But I am trying, but I'm struggling even in the trying. So that's one of the struggles that I have. And if you hear a lot of sounding noises, I apologize. My sister's doing something in the kitchen. Actually, let me go check, because no way. It was my sister's baby and she was playing in the kitchen. So yeah, it's a struggle for me to get back. And I had someone ask me, oh, how do you bounce back from backsliding? And I really couldn't answer the question, because I myself was in a similar position. God has been showing me things to do, and I'll get to that later on. Actually, I'll get to what I've learned and what God has been showing me and teaching me in the next video, of course. But then in terms of me actually putting those things into practice, I'm going to get into that later on, because I mean anyway. So another one of my struggles is that I easily backslide, and that's because my relationship with God is affected. So when you're not close with God, it's easy for you to be in the world. Actually, we are in the world. It's just easy for you to be of the world. It's easy for you to be influenced by the world. And I noticed not so long ago that I'm actually easily influenced. And for me, it's just, now that my relationship with God has been affected, it's been affected for a while now. It's also because I don't deal well with change. I'm no longer living at a res. I'm now at home. I'm living at home. So for me, when I change my environment, it takes a while for me to get back into the habit of doing things. So that would be get back into the habit of studying, maybe. That would getting back into the habit of reading my Bible, getting back into the habit maybe of sleeping at a specific time. Like, everything just changes when I change my environment. So that kind of does have an effect on, it did have an effect on my relationship with God, in terms of me actually being intentional with, let's say, reading my Bible, getting closer with Him, and doing my part to make sure that the relationship works out. Because in a relationship, you need two people to tango, okay? I can't just rely on God to just constantly pour. I also have to pour in on my side, so that there can be harmony. Honestly, not gonna lie, I feel like the main reason why my relationship with God is struggling right now is because of me having backslid before many times and not being able to bounce back from it. I've backslidden in different areas of my life, and it's not gonna lie, I don't like that I did that. Another one thing that has been affecting my relationship with the Lord is that I'm actually very lazy. Like, I diagnosed myself with chronic laziness, because I used to be like everyone else, where I'd be lazy, I'd procrastinate, until, let's say, when it comes to deadlines, I'd get that energy all of a sudden. That fear of failure would come and would like just knock on my door, and then I'd start working. But now it got to a point, especially when I was in uni, I got to a point where it was kind of like I when that fear no when it came the time for like deadlines for projects and assignments and all of that stuff and needing to study for tests, like that fear of failure, it never came. Like that just stopped being the case, and I would literally fail because I would just sit there and not do anything because I was just so lazy. And literally not even knowing, God actually showed me that, hey, this is actually somewhat type of a generational curse kind of thing, because I noticed that my dad also kind of dealt with the same problem. And he made this known to me when I came across a video about familiar spirits, and I was like, oh, so that's what it is, because my dad has it, I have it, and it looks like my younger sister is having it as well. Just being lazy, not caring. When someone offers help, it's like, yeah, sure, but then it's kind of like, so it's like it's hard for me to be intentional with certain things if the next day I don't even and it's there's nothing, like I can't do anything about it basically. And it's just like, I deep down, even when it came to schoolwork or uni work, I would have this desire to work. I would have this desire to wake up early. I would have this desire to do things. But then everything in my body would just stop me. I would just feel so trapped because I wanted to work. I'm a person that loves being productive, that loves working, and I find fulfillment and joy when I just get things done. But it's just, I constantly had this thing kind of like, nah. It's like my body was fighting with me internally. Like something inside of me wanted to work, wanted to do something, but then my body was just kind of like, eh, let's just watch some Netflix. Let's just watch some Korean dramas and just binge all night and just not care. And then when deadlines would knock on my door, I wouldn't have, like, I'd literally just sit there. I'd watch them pile up to the point where I was literally having a lot of trouble with school, panic attacks, anxiety. Just, I was just going through the most, and laziness has definitely affected my relationship with God. It is one of the struggles that I've had, and God has been teaching me how to overcome, because I wasn't at a place where I could get delivered because I don't know. But God kind of like gave me words to kind of tackle the laziness that I was dealing with, which was something I was dealing with since last year, 2021. Yeah. And he gave me the words commitment and discipline, and I knew in that moment that, okay, God wanted me to be committed and to be disciplined. And I was able to, because last year was a mess, child. I was lazy beyond, I failed, and I was like, okay, and like that's how it was. Like I didn't care anymore. I was nonchalant. I was indifferent towards my studies, towards just going to church, towards everything. I just wasn't feeling it. And then God spoke to me, yo, you have to be disciplined, you have to be committed. So this year I was able to apply that discipline and commitment. And I'm not going to say I was like the best. I did a full 180, and I was now a changed woman, I wish. But I was able to implement those things into my life where I was able to do a lot better than I did last year, because I was a mess last year. And then this year I was still a mess, but like doing better. Yeah. So that was that. I don't like how this earring is just like, okay, I just twisted my ear, but just stay normal. Actually, why am I not glasses? Because me, I can't see. So another way I've been feeling lately in terms of like my struggles of being a Christian is that because I know my relationship with God is kind of hindered, I feel like hopeless every time I would tell myself, oh, hey, you'll just do better tomorrow. And every time I just pray and be like, you know what, Lord, it's fine. Like, what? No. I'll be like, hey, Lord, I didn't do my best today. In fact, I barely did anything today, but your mercies are new every day, and I'm grateful and thankful that your mercies are new every day. I'll say that prayer when I remember to say that prayer. And I'm not gonna lie, I am really grateful over the fact that his mercies are new every day, because it means every day I have a new chance. Every day I get to see the sun. It means I get to do and be better. And every time every day comes and I don't do and I don't become a better person, it makes me feel hopeless, because now I'm allowing my past failures determine my future and how I'm going to go about things in the future. And it's very bad. It's a bad mindset. It's very toxic, because now you shouldn't let your past define your future steps, because it's in the past. We should let those past steps, past mistakes, past decisions kind of guide us and lead us on where not to go, on what not to do, and on what to avoid. But instead of that being the case, I let it kind of scare me into moving forward, into moving just in the direction that I should go. So that's another thing that I struggle with. There's one prophet that I love listening to, and he's Prophet Lovi Elias, and he said that when it comes to our relationship with God, God will always be 100% on His side. And it's I don't want to say it's kind of like He's waiting on us, which is, I mean, it's kind of true that He is actually just waiting for us to just step up. But he said when it comes to building your relationship with God, because he was in the video, someone else was also kind of like commenting that, oh, how do you fix your relationship with God? Like, I feel like I can't fix my relationship with God because I feel like God abandoned me or God left me and whatnot. And he's like, no, God will always be there. His hand is always out. He's always, I mean, He's always doing His part, and He's always, like, He's faithful even when we're not faithful. So even when I backslid, even when I sinned, even when I did all the things that I shouldn't have done, and just I decided to leave Him to go satisfy my flesh for like 10 seconds, He always remained faithful during the times when I wasn't faithful towards Him. And God will always just, if I feel like, you know what, I'm sick and tired of being in the same old place, I'm in a rut. But anyway, it's come on, nails, dude. No press-ons. Anyway, even though that's the case, it doesn't mean that God has left me. It doesn't mean that He's not 100% in it. He is 100% in it, but now the thing is, are we 100% in it? And then he touched on intentionality. I'm going to talk about that a bit later on in the video. This constant feeling of hopelessness is because now I lack that intentionality, and it's driving me crazy, because I want my relationship with God to work out, and it's like He's putting in His part, I just need to put in my part, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like a two-way thing. Okay, God is not the only one that's going to fix my relationship with Him. I also have to be intentional about fixing my relationship or bettering my relationship with Him. Another thing that I'm struggling with is fear that things won't change, fear that things won't go back to the way they were. I fear a lot that the fire that the Holy Spirit started when I first got saved, I constantly have this fear that it may be burnt out, that, or maybe it's too dim, or because you know the story with of the 10 wives, the 5 foolish wives and the 5 wise wives who always had lambs, and the other wives who didn't carry extra lambs, and then their light went out. And when the groom came, those that didn't have lights, they needed to go and get more oil for the lamp. So now their light wasn't burning. They were still brides, but the thing is now their lights weren't burning. So it's kind of like, I don't want to be that bride who, when Jesus comes, my light is not burning, because I feel like my light is kind of beginning to die, and that's literally my fear, that it either has died and I can't light it up, and I need, like, the Holy Spirit needs to do some miraculous thing in order for it to light up again, or something has to happen, and I don't know what that is. I constantly have this fear that what if, like, what if I never get back to where I was, or what if things never change? What if my situation is constantly this, yay, what if my situation is constantly this one where I'm constantly fighting to get back on track, but I never am able to? So every time I push forward, I take 10 steps back, or every time I push forward, I take 7 steps back. It's a constant fear that I constantly have, and it's all because I backslid. And how do you backslid? When you stop getting close to God, when you stop taking in His word, when you stop going to church, when you stop just filling yourself with the word and being in the Spirit, you're easily influenced by the world. And once you get into the world, it's hard for you to come back, because now it's like you're being weighed down. I feel like the enemy had a chance to now attack you, enter into open doors that you may have opened because of our rebellion or whatnot. And I just it sucks. It really sucks. and it is something that I'm struggling with right now. Which is bouncing back up, just being intentional, and just, you know, and yeah, this is the part where I pushed to the back, where I said I'm going to talk about it at the end. This is the end. Another thing that I struggle with again is, and I touched on this earlier on, which is intentionality. I don't know why I didn't think of this, but when the prophet I was listening to, when he said that you have to be intentional on your end, it just kind of like, duh, like, whoa, I didn't, it was kind of like like mind blown type moment. But then someone else might be like, duh, Mandy, like, of course you have to be intentional. But the thing is, not everyone knows that, and I didn't know that until the prophet said it, and I was like, oh wow, okay. Discipline, commitment, sacrifice, because that's another word God gave me, that something I need to work on. I need to learn to sacrifice my will for his, sacrifice my life, pick up my cross, you know, and to be intentional. And it's kind of like, whoa, I can't believe I never thought about that, and it makes so much sense. But again, the thing is, now I constantly, it's kind of like, now I keep looking that way because the sun, anyway, that was my daddy. I keep looking that way because the light is that way, and yeah, so apologies. And also, I don't know. Anyway, this video is getting boring. Like, it's getting very boring. But yeah, those are my struggles. In the next video, I'm going to be discussing the last point. This entire thing, what it's like being a Christian. For me, please. Other people are having a blast, and not gonna lie, I also, like, when I'm not struggling and crying, I'm actually very happy. I hope no one is scared of being a Christian. Oh, when you become a Christian, you struggle. No, it's nice, okay? We all struggle, but it's just that when you are Christian and you have a relationship with God, it's a lot better because you have someone to comfort you, the Holy Spirit. It's a lot better when you're a Christian, but I'm just showing my struggles right now. In the next video, I'll be showing what I learned, what God has been teaching me, and how he's been showing me how to do things, how to get out of the rut that I'm in, and the steps that I'm trying to take. Even though I keep failing every day, I will keep trying until I get it right. And I'm not scared to mention that I keep failing every day. But anyway, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for sticking till the end. If sound is an issue, I'd like to apologize for that. I will invest in a mic so that I can sound better. And if there's anything that I left out, I will leave in the description box, or I will just add you'll see it if it's there. You'll know. And if you guys have any feedback in terms of like what I should do to better my videos, you may please leave that in the comment section. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Peace. Why, girl? Why?